Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to what I'm sure is going to be a very exciting evening of racing. You join us here for the KartSim British Esports Championship, of course, in partnership with Motorsport UK Esports. We're here at the beautiful, the stunning Paul Fletcher International Circuit, of course, one of the leading kart circuits in the UK, here for round number 3. We're into the second half of the season. It's been rather exciting already, and that's going to continue into the second half as the championships are decided in our cadet and senior classes. And of course, the drivers that get to the top of that will be getting some lovely prizes to take home with them. My name is John Ratcliffe. I'll be guiding you through the action this evening as usual, but slightly different from round 1 and 2. I've got a friend next to me to join in with chatting about what is going to be some interesting action on your screens. It's Mr. Josh Irvin. Good evening, Josh.
Good evening to you as well, John. It's going to be a very exciting race, especially as you can see on the screen. It is wet. Despite this epic heat this summer and these last couple of weeks, so we've decided that it's never really a British Championship without a wet race. And we've decided to try and spice things up a little bit, and I think it's a bit of a surprise for the drivers as well, as we only told them about 5 minutes ago. So it's really going to make an epic race for everyone, and I'm really excited to see how it goes.
It's going to be really, really interesting to see how the drivers take to it. As you mentioned, round number 1 and round number 2, completely bone dry, no issues, drivers getting out there, hitting those usual dry lines. This could shuffle the order up a little bit, and like I just said, into the second half of the season, drivers starting to work out those points in the championship. Could this spice things up and make it very interesting when we go into round number 4? Now, as you see on screens, drivers already out for their practice session. It'll be about 15 minutes in length, but this is really where the drivers have got to try and work things out. Like you mentioned, very recently they found out that this was going to be wet, so they've really been chucked in at the deep end.
Oh yeah, I'm sure some of them will be a little bit annoyed as well. I'm sure they've done many countless hours in the dry without putting the second thought to the wet. So I really want to see who's actually thought about putting effort into the wet and who's naturally gifted in these wet conditions. Because as you know, if you can drive in the wet, you'll be good in the dry.
Exactly that, exactly that. But yeah, drivers spending lots of time getting ready for every single round. Of course, how the KartSim British Esports Championship works is you'll have about 7 days prior to the event to pre-qualify. That was all in dry conditions. So maybe the drivers, similarly to round 1 and round 2, expecting it's just going to carry on being dry. Well, we've thrown a spanner in the works this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if the cream of the crop rises to the top as usual. Like we say, 15 minutes of qualifying. Currently, practice. Currently, Casper McAllister, your fastest driver out there on circuit, by quite some margin. Nearly 1.5 seconds, that margin, ahead of Alex Zikic for the moment. I think that's maybe what we might see this evening. Unlike with the dry, quite a leveler, when you get out into those wet conditions, drivers can either take to it really well and have that natural gift, like you mentioned, or can find it very, very challenging finding where those bits of grip are. I think we might see the breadth of times amongst the field being quite a bit larger than we've seen in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think it will also definitely spice up the championship a lot as well. I'm sure the top 3 will relatively be close to the top, but it depends. I think there might be a couple outstanding drivers that can really drive in the wet and hopefully can boost the championship points and see if they can get some nice rewards.
Exactly that. Points being prizes, and quite literally in the KartSim British Esports Championship, because at the end of the season, the winner in both our cadet and senior classes will take home a full day of professional simulator coaching at KartSim HQ here at Silverstone, along with a test day at Wilton Mill in a competition kart with professional coaching, kart and engine hire, tyres and track fees, all included. What a prize that is! There's a couple of drivers taking to the grass there. That's definitely not where you're going to find the grip out there, I should say. Second place in each of the championships take home a Next Level Racing Go-Kart Plus rig, a monitor mount premium floor mat offered by Next Level Racing, along with a KartSim British Esports wheels and pedals bundle. And then third place in each championship gets a choice of KartSim Pro software or a free half-day professional simulator coaching session at KartSim HQ. So some big prizes on offer for the championships. Pretty close as we go into round number 3.
Yeah, it could be anyone's championship at the moment. I think there's about 4 of them that are fighting for the first spot, and obviously 3 of them do get prizes, so pressure's starting to mount on as we see Mason Becker take round Hugo McCluskey. Hugo McCluskey has been a prominent member in our championship. Hopefully he can get back out on track and see what he can do, try and learn his way around this wet, very slippery PFI circuit.
It does look rather slippery, doesn't it? You see the back end of Mason's kart really kicking out there through that long right-hander. Like you mentioned, though, let's have a look at those championship standings. You were just mentioning about Hugo McCluskey. He's currently sitting in 4th place in the championship on 120 points. That you can see it on your screen now. Joshua Bailey in the Cadets leads the championship as we head into round number 3, but crucially, only by 6 points ahead of Alex Igzicki. As you can see, with the 75 points against their names, round 1 for Joshua Bailey. He took the overall win back out at round number 1 at Kimbolton. And at GYG, it was Alex Igzicki that managed to grab maximum points as we headed over to North Wales. Of course, only in virtual form. Drivers didn't have to leave wherever their simulator is. And that's the simplicity of esports racing. You can travel all across the UK from the comfort of your own home, which is absolutely lovely. And also, maybe less so now. I was going to say it keeps you nice and dry and warm, but if you haven't got an AC unit, actually it might be even more challenging being stuck in your bedroom for this, because it's going to be rather a sweltering one.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's been very hard for everyone to get to sleep with this heat. But yeah, going back on John's point, it is all about consistency of this championship. Between 7th and 8th, they got the same points, but they've both P2 in one of the races so far. So it's all about having that consistency as in every championship, but also keeping it up, having a clean race, no DNFs, no penalties, and try and drive your best race on your own. Of course, we're not going to tell you not to get stuck in. That's not what we want to see as spectators and commentators. But I really hope there's a clean race today and we can see some proper good racing.
I hope so as well. As you see driver exiting stage left there as they headed under the bridge. We might see a few incidents at that area of the circuit, particularly early points of the race. Of course, I think even in the wet conditions, still absolutely flat out. Definitely in these cadet carts. Maybe a bit of a lift needed in the seniors when we get onto those later on this evening. But yeah, under the bridge in real life, we do see often a lot of incidents down there as it all really closes up, a really tight section of the circuit as you head under the Litchfield Bridge. Drivers needing to keep it nice and relaxed through there, keep themselves on the black stuff. Like you mentioned, consistency is key for the championship, but also I think here at today's round, keeping yourself out of trouble, keeping it on the black stuff and pressing on could see you gain some good points towards the championship. You can see there Darius Voronovic there heading around the circuit. Great to see him back once again, continuing to improve. Like we were mentioning with those standings earlier on, Darius currently in 10th place in the standings, 87 points total to his name. Now at the moment, like I mentioned, 2 winners so far this season in the cadets, Joshua Bailey and Alex Igzicki. However, crucially, each round where they were the respective winners, the other driver was not on the podium. So at the first round where Joshua Bailey won, Alex Igzicki was down in P6. Second round where Alex Igzicki took the win, Joshua Bailey was just off of the podium in P4. So a few points lost for each of them. Again, keeps it nice and spicy as we head on through to the second round of the season. You saw the slate a few moments ago as well. We're here for round 3 at PFI as another driver shows us quite simply how little grip there is there out of the final corner. Like I mentioned, PFI here for round number 3, and then in about a month's time, we'll be heading to Wilton Mill for round number 4, the finale of the championship in 2025. That will be on the 3rd of September, so make sure you mark that in your diaries, both for racing or for watching on at home. Thank you for joining us here on the KartSim YouTube channel. Make sure you drop a subscribe on the YouTube channel so you don't miss that final round of the championship. And there's definitely murmurings that there's going to be a few more live stream championships in future here on the KartSim channel. I can't possibly say any more, but drop a subscription and you'll be the first one to find out. Drivers still battling over that track position here as we head into the last 6 minutes of this practice session. Times have closed up amongst the field for sure. We've got about a second now between the top 7. But your winner at round number 2, Alex Igzicki, back to the top again. Do we think he's probably the favourite going into this one, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's there for the championship. He's already shown that he's pole position for this one out so far in this practice. But something I have noticed, John, is that there's a dry line forming on track, or a drier line, and I want to see how that works out in qualifying, because if there's a dry line coming on track, that means the times are just going to get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. So the track is always changing as it always does in the wet. I want to see how these drivers can adapt, because someone who's quite fast in the full wet might not be in the changing conditions.
Exactly that, yeah. They're the most difficult conditions to deal with, aren't they? When the track's constantly changing underneath you, you find the perfect braking point, you come around the next lap and the braking point is in a totally different place. So that's always makes it interesting. Like you say, with qualifying, we should see drivers dropping and changing throughout that session. I think as we get into racing conditions as well, if there's a drying line forming, it's going to make it even more difficult to go for those overtakes. You've got to pull off of that dry line and try and hang it down the inside or around the outside under brakes, where there's just significantly less grip. So we'll see who can take to those conditions best as we head into racing action later on. Well, Joshua Bailey's jumped up into second place. Zicky's got even faster though. Gaps between the field continuing to extend. Joshua Bailey trying to bring the fight to him though. Closes into within 1.5 tenths of a second there on that last lap around the circuit. Look at this beautiful aerial shot of the track. Fantastic to see the cameras out here in the KartSim simulation software giving us some beautiful shots of what is a fantastic track. Of course, we've already been to PFI earlier on this season. Now, it wasn't in the regular season. It was for the O-Plate earlier on this year where we crowned those O-Plate champions. It was, in fact, Mr. Alex Zicki who took it in the cadets, and it was Zane Quecker who took it in the seniors. And Alex clearly learnt a thing or two, but that was all in the dry. This is now in the wet. That talent carrying on over, but more and more drivers finding more time out there. Santiago Barros now jumping up into second place. Now, Santiago has been very exciting out there throughout this season. He's been a really quick racer. Has been rather aggressive at times though, has Santiago, maybe going for moves that he would have thought twice of if it was real life. But in the simulation software, sending it, sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. I think in these wet conditions, he might need to play it a little bit more safely.
Yeah, of course, so less grip, that means more risk. Santiago Barros could definitely very quick, definitely been in the top 5 when it comes to qualifying. But he did get a penalty in round 1 after a bad maneuver. But he is there, he's confident, he's providing entertainment for us folks on the other side. And hopefully he can have a nice clean race and see and try and get that good result that we know he can get.
Exactly that. Well, it's shown on his results previously in the season, the pace that he does have. Both round 1 and round 2, he qualified in 5th place. Didn't transition into the race quite so well, though. Round 1, he finished in P8, and then round number 2, down in P16. It all went wrong at GYG for Santiago Barros, but he's shown that he can convert it back at the O-Plate again. Started in 5th place, but converted that to a P5 finish. So it's clearly there. There's clearly a possibility there for Santiago. As you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen, he just went within 1,000th of a second of pole, and now that is stolen away by Joey Swan. Of course, this isn't qualifying, this is just practice. But either way, 5 or 4 thousandths of a second now separating the top 3. So I'll probably eat my words from earlier on where I said the split between the field is going to be more extended. This is the closest we've seen it all season.
I mean, yeah, top 5 is within 2 tenths. Top 6, oh no, we got Ted Hayward actually popped into P1 with the fastest lap time. So you got the top 5 within 2 tenths. Ted Hayward setting a lap time of just under a tenth quicker than anyone else, and he's following JJ Allen on board. Let's see if he can get by quickly and cleanly, and see if JJ Allen can maybe learn a thing or two from Ted Hayward.
Indeed, yeah, we'll see if they can press on round and find a bit more time. Only just less than a minute and a half left to go in this practice session, so they could maybe squeeze 1 or 2 more laps in, and I think that's going to be a crucial thing when we move into qualifying. I mean, one significant point is, given that it's wet, it's going to be a slower lap time, and thus meaning you're going to get less laps in over the 10-minute qualifying session. But as well, comparatively to the previous tracks we've been to, this PFI circuit is a rather long one. So again, you're going to be getting less laps in during the session, so there's going to be less opportunity to bed yourself in. You're really going to have to come out of the gates flying in this one and try and put some times on the board nice and quickly. And we'll see if the conditions continue to change, whether that's getting wetter or getting drier. Drivers are really going to have to turn up the wick as quickly as they can and not just tiptoe around that circuit, really try and put in those times. So it's Casper McAllister now who's stolen that fastest time, continuing to change at the sharp end, continuing to find more time. I think this qualifying session is going to be rather exciting. Now, of course, we're going to go into qualifying in only a few moments' time, Josh, but it's great to see, of course, Mr. Josh Irvin beside me. You've done a lot of racing yourself. Wet conditions at PFI, I imagine you've experienced those quite a few times. Are there any particular places when we get into racing action where you think are the best positions to go for a move here at PFI in those damp and tricky conditions?
Well, yeah, of course. Like you said, not only is PFI quite long, there's also very long straights and very heavy braking zones. The big ones I would like to see is into the first hairpin, into the second hairpin. But there's also still quite a bit of a toe and slipstream in the wet as well. That doesn't diminish just because of the tire and grip. So I think into under the bridge, into T3, as well as into the first and second hairpin are going to be the main spots. It is really easy to get a cutback or try and go around the outside or sell a dummy around PFI due to how technical the track actually is. So I really want to see people showing off their best skills when it comes to getting past their counterparts.
I'm sure we're going to see some exciting racing later on today, of course. Practice session coming to a close. You can see the checkered flag up in the top left-hand corner of your screen. We'll soon be going to the 10-minute qualifying session. That'll then be followed by a 12-lap race. Now, don't worry if you joined us on the YouTube channel and you're thinking, hold on a second, I'm supporting someone who's a bit older than a cadet. Whereabouts are they? We're going to be seeing them later on this evening. We'll crack on through the qualifying and the race for the cadets. We'll have a short interlude and then we'll be back to do it all again with the seniors. But here are the results then for practice. Santiago Barros finding the fastest time, but only by 6 thousandths of a second. Only 6 thousandths of a second behind was Alex Executive. Second place in the championship, second place in that practice session. Let's see how it all goes in qualifying. Casper McAllister in third, with Joey Swan in fourth place. Darius Veronovich was in fifth, with Hugo McCluskey in sixth position in that practice session, but all times incredibly close as they went through that session. And as they all head back into the pits then, we'll also wait to see as well with Joshua Bailey, our championship leader. He was about 7th or 8th place, I believe, in that practice session. So a little bit of time behind Alex Izicki, his championship rival. And that kind of swing, 2nd to 6th place, could be the swing of the championship, which sees which driver goes into that final round in the lead here in the cadet. So very exciting action still to come, ladies and gentlemen. Do not go anywhere as the drivers head out of pit lane. 10 minutes already counting down then, and look at the swarm of karts heading down to the first couple of corners. Like I mentioned, as crucially shown there by Mason Becker, I think you're going to want to keep out of trouble here on the first couple of laps, as the drivers don't do what I'm saying. They probably can't hear me, but either way, heading on out of the pits. Realistically, you see in the dry a lot, sort of two strategies. One will be following drivers closely who they know are fast, so they can learn a thing or two, get a bit of a slipstream and work together a little bit. Or going it totally alone as Davey Hewons gets chucked out wide onto the grass there. Going it alone on these qualifying laps and thinks, nope, I want to get in my own rhythm of things, press on and just be in my own position on the circuit. In the wet though, how do we really think the drivers should attack this? Should they be working together? I mean, there's no working together going on right now, as we can see on the screens, but should they be working together to find that time? Or in the wet, is it more of a case of you want to go alone, Josh? What do you think about that?
Well, John, something I have noticed is there's another spanner in the works here. It has rained between the practice and qualifying session here. The track is back to its wettest, so that means that it's going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. And Ted Hayward, who was fastest in practice until 2 laps to the end, was a second off the pace by the end of it. So the track just evolved such a rapid rate. I want to see people following each other, seeing what people are doing better, and then copying that. That's what I would do as a driver. I'd go behind someone who was quick in that practice session, see what they do, see how the track evolves around both of us, and then copy. If anything's quicker, or if I'm quicker, I'm not going to show them that, that's for sure. But the strat in the wet would normally go alone because of the spray, the limited visibility. I'd like to go on my own, but with such an evolving track, I'm not sure what I would do.
Yeah, it is a bit of an interesting one. Like you say, the spray does make it all a little bit more challenging, but if you are able to follow someone who you know is pretty swift around here in the wet, it's sort of like having double data, isn't it? You can try things out, but you can be watching them at the same time, watching their lines, seeing how well it works for them, and that should hopefully halve your learning time, and thus mean you can get even quicker throughout the session as it continues.
Yeah, I think the best thing about drivers in the wet, the people who are good in the wet, they adapt, they try things, they see what people are doing that are quicker, and they follow. If you can try as many things, you try all the lines, see what works, see what doesn't, and you can go, hold on, that's quicker, let me do that, and then that's how you find the limits in the wet. It's very, very dissimilar to the dry, where you find your limits, that's your thing. But there's different lines. You can go outside, you can go middle, you can go over the curb. There's loads of things that these drivers are trying, which I can guarantee you are not the same for every driver right now.
No, exactly that. All drivers very much individual, and we'll see who's the one able to find the most grip out there and find the fastest lap times. You can see, though, we're already over a quarter of the way through this session, and drivers are only just starting to put a time on the board. Of course, you've got that out lap that takes even more time than usual. It'll be about a minute and 20, minute and a half to get those out laps completed, and only then can you go onto a fast lap. Yeah, only then can you go on to a fast lap out there on circuit and start putting pedal to the metal. And that all does make it a little bit more challenging because, of course, less time to have those issues. If you have a spin up there, that's another lap gone. You've got to get yourself round and get back on the pace yet again. All challenges that drivers are having to deal with this evening. Well, hello to everyone who has joined us here on the live stream. Thank you very much for taking some time this evening to watch some of the top level esports karting racing in the world here in the KartSim British Esports Championship. Hello to Jack in the chat, who's supporting Joey Swan out there. Currently 7th place on the timing screens is Joey. Drops down to 8th as more fast times getting put in by a number of drivers. Hello as well to Funky Base UK. Best of luck to all competitors. This is very cool. Well, thank you, Funky, for saying how cool it is. I have to agree. And it's only been getting better throughout the season. So make sure you stick around for round number 4 as we finalise the 2025 season in only about a month's time. Nearly halfway through this session then. And Darius Voronovic is your fastest driver out there on circuit.
Oh yes, and I just coached him about 2 hours ago, funnily enough. I wanted to see, and I think he's got a really great chance for this race. Obviously, he didn't know it was wet. I didn't even know it was going to be wet. So the limited testing that we did do, it shows that he has done some sort of testing in the wet, and let's see if he can actually pull off a good race.
Indeed, yeah, of course, to explain a little bit, of course, you, Josh, son of owner of KartSim, Mr. Tony Irvin, and you're one of the kart simulator coaches here as well. You've been obviously crucial in setting up this karting simulation software with your knowledge of karting throughout your time moving through the karting ladder. So, Josh, coaching some of the drivers out there quite frequently, Darius being one of them, and clearly that has been working. He's only just been picked to that top spot there by Alex Zicki, but times continuing to tumble in this session. You can see that timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, constantly chopping and changing as drivers find a bit more grip out there, a little bit more lap time, and it continues to shuffle around, but still then top 6, split by just under 9/10 of a second. And interestingly here, as Hugo McCluskey goes for a spin, collected by Alex Zicki. That's going to be lap gone by Alex Zicki, and not the best rejoin there, was it, from Hugo? He gets back on the black stuff, but Ted Hayward probably not going to be too happy with him after that one.
Oh no, luckily the track is still about 3 seconds off what it was at end of practice, so it's so quick, it's getting so much quicker, but I think that lap time is probably not going to be the fastest for anyone going around. But yeah, Hugo does need to watch out a little bit on his rejoins, because if that was a race, that would ruin a couple races for a couple people. So let's see. You can already see the dry line starting to form all around the track. This is a great angle that we got here. We can really see everyone driving around, and you can see the gaps. Everyone's trying to start spaced out now. You can see there's a good, except for Joey Swan and Mason Becker there, there's a good couple seconds between each driver. So that's sort of what I predicted, that they take more of a gap and see where to go.
Indeed, yeah. One to mention as well, Chester Fawkes, he was really quick as Mason Becker really finds the grass there on the outside of turn 1. It's going to take him a few moments to get back on the black stuff. But yeah, Chester Fawkes, he's just dropped down to P5 there. As you can see, the time's continuing to get faster and faster. But Chester was really quick in the first part of practice, but by the end of practice, I think he dropped down to about P16, P17. So as it started to dry, he couldn't quite keep that pace on with the leaders. But here in full wet conditions, I think Chester really, really shining. Great to see him back. He's not had the best of luck throughout the season so far has Chester. He only joined us for round number 2. He did join us for a couple of rounds at the end of last season where they were all just one-off events. Chester joined us for and had a load of fun. In the championship though, wasn't with us for round 1, was with us for round 2, qualified in P11, finished in P11. So nice and consistent, but I know Chester, being a driver who is very used to, in real life, much higher finishes than P11, he's going to be wanting more here at PFI, and currently working quite well for him.
Yeah, John, I just wanted to say, they've gone 2 seconds quicker since I've last spoke. Santiago Barros just went 4 attempts quicker than anyone else out on circuit. Alex Lizicki second, Ted Hayward third, but then Catherine McAllister just put in a second time. So it's very hard to actually predict as a commentator, as a spectator, to see who's actually going to put it on P1. Maybe it's just about track position and who gets that driest lap.
Indeed, like you say, I think it's all going to be crucial as we head into the final part of the session. Because, of course, like you say, the track continuing to dry out there, drivers finding more and more time, and thus those final laps of the session are going to be absolutely crucial that you hook them up. You want to use the first 5, 6, 7 minutes, get yourself bedded in, and feeling out the circuit again after your practice session, but it's that last lap or two that's going to be crucial to set the grid here. As we say, Alex Zicki, second place in the championship, has dropped down to P4 on the grid now. Joshua Bailey wasn't quite there in practice, down in 5th or 6th position by the end of it, when he's up in P2 at the moment, less than a tenth off of the time of Santiago Barros. Now, Santiago was quickest in practice earlier on. That transitioning here into qualifying for sure, again finding the fastest time, and he found a ridiculous time on that last lap, nearly 0.8 of a second quicker than Darius Voronovic. Casper McAllister closes that gap to half a second now as Joshua Bailey finds more time. Up to 3rd place he goes, but we're dropping into the final minute of this session. So drivers crossing the start-finish line about now will be heading on to their last laps.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, Santiago Barros has had some scrappy racing these last 2, but at this pace, he's over 4 times quicker than anyone else. Maybe he can just drive away and have his own clean race out in front. Obviously, track's still evolving. You've got yellow in Sector 1 where someone just span. But let's see how... Chester Fawkes just pipped him for another tenth and a half. So we're back at the times we were doing in practice. We've still got 30 seconds of a clock. So this is anyone's game. I really want to see how this turns out. I'm sure John does as well.
What an exciting qualifying session this is turning out to be. I knew the wet was going to make it rather exciting, but this is even further than I expected. Drivers continuing to change at the top of the order. Santiago Barros puts in another quick time with 10 seconds left to go. He'll still get another opportunity here to find some more time. Zicki puts in a time and just about starts a new last lap before session ends. Timer ticks to 0 now. Checkered flag is out. This will be the final time around the circuit for all of our drivers as they bring their session to a close. Barros has pipped Zicki by over 3/10 on that last lap around the track. And as you can see in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, he's gone yellow in Sector 1. I don't think this is going to be improvement for Zicki, and that's definitely not going to help. Your pole sitter, Barros, gets in the side of him there at hairpin 2. Not sure what the stewards are going to think about that one, but that's far above our pay grade. Chester Fawkes puts in a brilliant time there to end the session. Jumps up onto the front row of the grid. But crucially, can these drivers following in behind find any time? It doesn't look likely.
I mean, it's not over yet. It's not over yet, John. But, I mean, Santiago Barros was already in a bit of traffic, so was Alex Lizicki. So I don't think that affected their lap too much, but let's see if anyone else can take advantage of that and see what they can do as everyone comes around to the final corner.
Hugo McCluskey's got pole position on the final lap. First driver into the 106s in qualifying, and Hugo McCluskey steals pole position, and Joshua Bailey steals it back from him. 0.03 of a second. Unbelievable. In the dying moments of the qualifying session, your championship leader takes pole position. What an end to that one, with Hugo McCluskey lining up alongside him. Super, super exciting. I thought Santiago Barros had that one in the bag, but his last lap, he got in the way of other people. It all went a little bit wrong for him. And that has proved crucial with Joshua Bailey stealing pole position. Unbelievable. If the conditions continue to change like this into the race, this is going to be a ridiculous one. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, I did not expect this. I mean, I expected it to change a lot, but this is turning out into what an exciting race this could be. You got about 10 drivers there that could adapt and be quicker than anyone else on track. There was about 10 drivers that were at P1 at that one point in that qualifying session. So let's see how this can go. Rounding up the top 10, you got Joshua Bailey in P1, Hugo McCluskey, Santiago Barros, Chester Fawkes, Alex Lizicki P5, Casper McAllister, Joey Swan, Ted Hayward, David Huons, Darius Voronovich rounding up the top 10. Then you got Reese Peters, William Robinson, Mason Becker, Freddie Turner, Odie Hull, Edward Gashler, Isaac Mordigan, Alexander Adams, Sawyer Henderson, and Henry Hales rounding up top 20. In 21st, you have Leo Hartley, and 22nd rounding off the grid, JJ Allen. JJ Allen obviously just couldn't get used to the car, and I think the biggest thing in that race was just getting used to the grip. Every changing, that 112.5, that would put you pole by a couple seconds at the start of the qualifying session.
It would have done. Yeah, time's continuing to fall through that one. I think JJ Allen, one of the new names to the championship here for round 3. So a bit of a baptism of fire, sadly, for JJ, jumping straight on and straight into some rather damp conditions here at the Paul Fletcher International Circuit. Right then, we've done practice, we've done qualifying. Only the race to come now, ladies and gentlemen. 12 laps on the board here. And the drivers, I think it's going to be difficult enough to keep it on the black stuff, but you've got a race at the same time. This is going to be very interesting then. All drivers are getting lined up on this iconic start-finish straight here at the PFI circuit. Joshua Bailey on that pole position with Hugo McCluskey alongside him. Santiago Barros and Chester Fawkes on row 2. Like you were mentioning, times were consistently chopping and changing between these drivers, not only at the sharp end, throughout the entire field. This could really change up as we head in through the race, and I do think this first lap is going to be even more crucial than we've seen in any of the rounds earlier on this season. Your championship leader starting in pole position, giving himself the best possible opportunity as we head into this second half of the championship. His championship rival, though, only down in P5. That's not too far back, but he's in the middle of the pack for a wet race start here at PFI. That's not really where you want to be.
Oh, I can only hope for a clean race, as so can anyone else, but I doubt that. I do. Let's see what happens. I think someone from the back could really come through. We were mentioning JJ Allen. I still think he can have a really good result in this race, and it's anyone's game, like I said.
Indeed, yeah. As I mentioned in practice or qualifying, I can't remember what it was. We would have so much exciting so much this evening. We're off in underway and racing, though, quickly off from the line. And who's the us away? It is Joshua Bailey who's managed to hold that lead. Heading into the first couple of corners, will the drivers be able to keep out of trouble? Into the first heavy braking zone, Lizicki kicks the back end of the car out, trying the up and under. Lizicki's going to go through to second place. Joshua Bailey gets hung out to dry on the outside. He slipped down to P3. Lizicki trying it round the outside. And it's going to be Lizicki and McCluskey side by side down into the first hairpin, the big braking zone of hairpin number 1. Will we see any drivers going off? Yes, one driver exiting stage right. We'll see who that was as they rejoin. It was Darius Voronovich there as he gets back onto the black stuff. Look how close our leading pack is as they head into hairpin number 2. That was lucky for McAllister there. Nearly spun, got turned back around by another driver and continuing to battle over the same piece of tarmac at the front of the order. Lizicki sends it down the inside of Joey Swan. Up and under there, trying down the inside is McAllister. They're going to go almost 3 wide there. Into the barrier goes Mason Becker. He's going to drop to the back of the order. Lizicki hangs it round the outside. It stays there in 5th place. Voronovich's getting a bit scrappy there on the apex curb. But as we head through to the end of lap number 1, your pole sitter, Joshua Bailey, still holds on to the lead. But look how close the chasing pack are.
Wow, I mean, it could be one of 10 people that could have had that at the start. 10 people were split straight into the first hairpin. Let's see.
A big opportunity. It's Alex Lizicki. That's huge. That is huge for the championship. Lizicki's off at turn 1 to no fault of his own. Joey Swan hit that inside apex curb, got a bit of a wobble on, and Alex was at the wrong place at the wrong time there. Lizicki is round, and where has he dropped to? Lizicki is down to 13th place. He's got some serious driving to do for the next 10 laps of racing.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been his championship right there. Let's see what he can do. He's got the pace. Let's see how well he can recover. This grid is very close, so he can still get a quite good result.
Casper McAllister there, a little bit of a half spin at hairpin number 1. He's trying the up and under, but nearly 4 wide there on the exit of hairpin number 2. Joshua Bailey trying to break away already there. He's got 3/4 of a second ahead of Santiago Barros, who has a further 1.5 seconds back to Hugo McCluskey. McCluskey leading that big battle pack. As we see there, Santiago Barros trying to close the gap to Joshua Bailey. Of course, we're only a couple of laps into this one. He doesn't want to let the leader scamper off, particularly if 3rd, 4th, 5th and beyond are going to continue battling like they have been. If they can pull this gap out nicely, it'll be a two-way fight for the win of this race. Can Santiago Barros finally convert a fantastic grid position into a fantastic race result here? Down the inside goes Chester Fawkes, too late on the brakes for Chester. He spins it on the inside line. Multiple drivers collected there in the background. How's that going to reshuffle things as we head over the bridge?
Yeah, I mean, that's just unfortunate. Darius Ronovich was P8 at the start of this. Now he's up into P4, so that's a great race for him. Joshua Bailey has got away from Santiago Barros for about half a second, and there's a big gap down to Hugo McCluskey. So hopefully them top 4 can keep a clean race themselves and hopefully pull away from the rest of the pack. But look at the battle from 5th onwards. Oh wow, they both go wide. Odie Hole gets the cutback, and it's 3 wide going into the chicane.
It is indeed. It all gets a bit scrappy, and this is a difficult place to go side by side. They all manage to get back into single file order, and it's now Chester Fawkes who's leading that battle. We said it was from 3rd place downwards, only about half a lap ago. They all got a bit too close for comfort down at turn 3, and that's allowed for Hugo McCluskey and Darius Voronovich to break away as well, but they're quite a significant distance still behind those top 2. And as we watch the gap between Bailey and Barros as well, that is nearly a full second. So Bailey managing to find a bit more time out there and trying to eat that gap over 2nd place. We watch these 3 though. Line astern, under the bridge they go. Fawkes, followed by Hull, followed by Hjorns. And impressive from Chester as well. We saw him go for that spin only about a lap or 2 ago. He's managed to make it back up to P5. I think really my point from back in practice really being proven true. If you can try and keep yourself out of trouble, then you can have a pretty good race result in this one. And even if you do have a bit of an issue, you can make your way back to the sharp end. Lovely move down the inside there at hairpin number 1. Hjorns weighted that one beautifully on the brake side. The inside line there for hairpin number 2. And he will get that move done. Up to 6th place goes David Hjorns. Really well measured move there from David. Well beyond his years, that overtake. David moves his way out to P6. That small battle though between David and Odie just let Chester create a bit of a gap there in P5.
I mean, yeah, that was a beautiful overtake. But the woes continue for Alex Lazicki, our championship contender. He's down to P18, so let's see if he could turn his race around and see where he can do. P17 now, he's on the behind of Isaac Morgan. Let's see if he can get past cleanly, dispatch, and move on to the next one. Yeah,
clearly he's had some issues then, hasn't he? Of course, we saw issues earlier on, but he's had some more while we've been watching the leaders squabble it out, dropping down all the way, like you mentioned, to P17. Now he's going to go for that move up the inside of Isaac Morgan. Nice move there from Alex. Isaac will try that up and under, and will get the inside line. This is holding Alex up even more as he tries to get his way back to the front of the field. Just about gets the move done there off of the bridge, but easier said than done at getting past this field. Of course, all very quick and even more challenging in these conditions. We're nearly half race distance already here in the Cadet as Alex looks to grab a few more points back. But if it continues like this, it's going to be a serious challenge for anyone who's not called Joshua Bailey to take the championship here in the KartSim British Esports Championship in 2025. Here is said man heading around the final corner. That gap now up to 1.7 seconds between Bailey and Barros. Bailey just remaining consistent, remaining confident, hitting his marks and continuing to pull away. Couldn't ask for a much better race than this, could he?
Oh no, as long as he doesn't make a major mistake, I think Joshua Bailey may have this in the bag, but Santiago Barros will always be a threat, and I'm sure at some point in the race, you can see how dry it's getting out there now. There's a massive battle from 12th to 18th as well, so hopefully Alex Suzuki can get involved in that and hopefully make a couple positions up as well.
Yeah, continuing to dry out through the session, like you mentioned, we're down into the 109s now for a lot of drivers, all continuing to scrap out here though. This is just outside of the top 10. 4 drivers line astern, Henry Hales, William Robinson, Joey Swan and Isaac Morgan. Not too far ahead then are Mason Becker and Alex Legzicki as we head down into hairpin number 1, late on the brakes. Henry Hale's taking that inside line. I don't know what that line was from Isaac Morgan, but he's got it back on the black stuff anyway. He might lose a place though to the driver in behind him. They head through hairpin number 2, side pod to side pod contact there between Joey Swan and William Robinson, but they both keep it on the black stuff and they carry on.
Alex Lizicki was in P18 just over a lap ago. He's now into 13, has moved away from his pack and chasing down 11th and 12th. So a good race is still not in the trash. I mean, he can still have a decent couple points, and it is a championship. It's not a one-off race. It can still be up for grabs in the last round, indeed.
Indeed, yeah, and this is where it comes back into play. Like we said, consistency is key, especially in just a 4-round championship. One little issue, one little mistake can really switch things up. He goes down the inside of Reese Peters. That door was pretty much closed there as he got to that inside line. I think he managed to force it back open though. We'll see where he ends up. We'll check back in with him in a few moments' time. Here we look though to the battle for third. Now Bailey and Barros, their pace has been fantastic. Bailey slowly but surely eking out the gap over Barros, but both of them continuing to put more fresh air between themselves and third place and beyond. That gap now back to Hugo McCluskey, nearly 6.5 seconds. But Darius Voronovic pressing on well here in P4, looking to hunt Hugo down and looking to take his first podium of the season. Now both Hugo McCluskey and Darius Voronovic haven't got a podium yet so far this year, so both of them will be hungry for this one and could make the battle even more spicy.
Oh, Hugo McCluskey will make it as difficult as possible for Darius to get past. He will put his car in the middle of a track like a tractor. But it makes it even more difficult because you can see there's only one dry line going around the track. So if he wants to overtake, he's going to have to deviate from that path and lose a lot of grip. But he is on his behind. He's a 1/10 away. He's almost alongside him going into his first hairpin. Does he send him a dummy? Does he send it up inside? No, he doesn't. He waits. He's waiting for a better chance. He wants to get this done clean, efficiently, and without both of them losing some time, so Chester Fawkes doesn't have a chance to catch up.
Of course, he's got to be nice and careful. It's difficult enough to make a move when drivers are so close on pace, and alone when the track is so slippery offline. And of course as well, this is an official Motorsport UK Esports Championships. There are very much rules in place and penalties will be given out if Darius does anything a bit too crazy trying to send a move, and he very much knows that, waiting for the perfect opportunity, and there it is. Late move down the inside on the exit of the right-hander there, beautifully read by Darius, and steals third place away. I was going to mention Darius, previous finishing positions in the races this season, P15 and P8. For Hugo McCluskey, he's at a P5 and a P7. So Darius going from strength to strength in this championship and clearly enjoying those slippery conditions out there. As what a beautiful move that was.
Oh, and Hugo made it a little bit slightly easy for him as well, as we find Ted Hayward and David Chorns fighting very aggressively for that 6th place.
Indeed, yeah, great to see them battling so closely as we head into the last few laps of this race. David having to be a little bit careful under braking there into hairpin number 1. Manages to keep out of the back of Ted Hayward though, and welcome to Ted Hayward. The first time we've seen him here in the KartSim British Esports Championship, and clearly taking to it like a duck to water, excuse the pun. It's nice and wet out there, so might as well bring that one up. He's there in P6. Getting some good points on the board. Of course, he's missed round 1 and round 2, so championship pretty much gone out the window, but he's jumped in immediately, is on the pace, battling super well. So welcome, Ted Hayward. Very impressive. We've just got a few more people in chat as well. Hello to Drift Kiwi. Hello to Benjamin Hamilton as well. Benjamin asking if they're on slicks or wet. So I think we'll be seeing Benjamin out later on this evening. But of course, they are indeed out on wet tyres. If they were out on slicks, this would be a lot more. I think that we'd have a lot more drivers off circuit for a lot more of this race. Now, Leo Hartley, just a little bit slow there off of hairpin number 1. Bailey and Barros managing to get through. Santiago Barros, he's in that really frustrating position where he's really close on pace with Joshua Bailey, and realistically, from this perspective, Joshua Bailey is right there. He is so close. That race win is so close to him, and Santiago just can't quite do enough to chase him down and catch that position. It's such a difficult place to be.
Oh, and I've been in that position before. You're always wishing for more laps and more laps. There's only 2 laps left. This is lap 10 out of 12. So it's going to be very unlikely that Santiago Barros can bridge that gap in the short amount of time we have. 11 of 12. We have 2 laps left. And let's see if this can change at all. We've got Darius Wonovich pulling away slightly from Hugo McCloskey. The grid is starting to spread out slightly, as we expect from a wet race, but it's not over yet. We've got battles for P7 and later down the grid as well, so let's see some clean racing. As you've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, someone's had a small spin there.
Indeed, yeah, still tricky conditions to deal with out there, and drivers very much finding that out into the penultimate lap of this cadet race here for round number 3 of the KartSim British Esports Championship. Like you were mentioning, Darius, after getting past Hugo McCluskey, has started to pull away. That's 2 seconds now, the gap. Darius with some brilliant pace in this race. And actually, Chester Fawkes nearly on the back of Hugo McCluskey in their battle for 4th. This is a close one as well, between 7th and 8th as well, but we will look forward to the battle for 4th then as they head round into sector number 3. A bit wide there from McCluskey as he flirts with the barrier on the outside of the S's there, as Chester Fawkes continues to try and hunt him down. But he's only got about 1 more lap to try and do it. He's got to pull the cat out the bag here if he wants to find 4th position. It's going to be easier said than done.
And I know I said the gap was a bit big, but Santiago Barros has found half a second on Joshua Bailey. Maybe Joshua Bailey is letting off a throttle as it's the last lap and he doesn't want to take any risks. But he's pushing as hard as he can to try and get that win. He wants it, and we've seen that before in the past. He will do anything to try and win.
He will indeed. Let's see if he can get close enough to even think about that, though. I don't think it's looking likely here. Round the final lap of this fantastic PF International circuit. As they continue on through, here is the battle for 4th place on the last lap. Chester Fawkes all over the rear bumper of Hugo McCluskey. McCluskey's wide. Is this the opportunity for Chester Fawkes? They give each other enough room off of the corner. A little bit of side pod contact there as they head into the S's, and Fawkes gets the move done. On the last lap, Chester Fawkes is through into 4th place. But Joshua Bailey must be getting close to the line now as they head through the final sector. They head through to the line to end this race. And there is Joshua Bailey. He takes the checkered flag first. And your championship leader extends that gap even further with a perfect race here in the cadets. Take a bow, Joshua Bailey. He wins it by just over 1.2 seconds. Great race, pole to flag victory, but it wasn't quite that easy.
I mean, it couldn't get any better for that. But the first lap, he was in P4 at one point, so it's really tricky for him. He's maximised his opportunity, and you can see why he is winning this championship. He's a class driver, and if he keeps it up for the last round, I see no reason why he can't win this championship.
Exactly that. Well, he certainly has a good points gap heading into the final round. You can see at the top of your screen there, Alex Igsicki fought his way back through to 10th place, which I think is pretty impressive from where we saw him down at 18th at one point in that one. But still, that is a lot of points lost compared to the race winner of Joshua Bailey there. And Joshua going to be a little bit more comfortable as they head into the final round at Wilton Mill in about a month or so time. Well, as the drivers head round back to the pit lane then, let's run you through the final finishing order in that cadet race here from PF International. Of course, your championship leader, Joshua Bailey, takes a commanding win there. As you mentioned, Josh, he had to fight for that one, but as soon as he got out into the lead, he started to put a nice gap. Did a really nice job there, takes maximum points here from round 3. Santiago Barros, first podium for Santiago Barros. He's done it. He's converted a very positive qualifying into a great race result. Well done to Santiago there in 2nd place. And same for Darius Voronovic as well. His first podium there in 3rd. He had some brilliant pace there. A standout performance from Darius, showing his improvement throughout the season. Chester Fawkes back again for round 3, and again really improving. Clearly Chester enjoying those wet conditions out at PFI. Holding on to a P4. Managed to get Hugo McCluskey on the last lap. Still a really positive performance for McCluskey there in P5. I do think joint best to his personal best so far this season. Followed by Ted Hayward. Great introduction to the championship there for Ted in P6. Followed by Casper McAllister, David Hjorns, Sawyer Henderson and Alex Igsicki. They're your top 10. Igsicki with some serious difficulties there in wet conditions. Did well to get back to 10th place and get some more points on the board. Odie Holt just behind him in P11. Followed by Mason Becker, Joey Swan, Freddie Turner, Isaac Morgan, Edward Gashler, William Robinson, Henry Hales, Alexander Adams and Reese Peters, your top 20. And only a couple more drivers finalised the order. Well, one driver to be exact, JJ Allen there in 21st place. Well, what a race that was then in the cadets. What a way to kick off the evening here for round number 3 of the KartSim British Esports Championship. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will soon be going to a short break. When we return, we'll be doing it all again. Practice, qualifying and racing, but this time in the senior category. And if that wasn't exciting enough for you, let's see when we get some slightly faster karts out there in these rather tricky conditions. Could be even spicier. We'll see you in a few moments' time. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to round number 3 of the KartSim British Esports Championship in partnership with Motorsport UK Esports. Back once again, of course, a few moments break there as we tried to calm ourselves down a bit after that very, very exciting Cadet race, but straight back out on circuit. This time, it's the turn of the seniors. Loads of drivers out on circuit yet again. Tricky conditions to contend with yet again. We'll see how this one plays out. Still here at PF International, still with the same two people shouting in your ears. My name is John Ratcliffe. Still got Mr. Josh Erford alongside me. I think this is going to be possibly even more exciting than the Cadet, which I didn't think was even possible.
Well, John, let's put it this way. I was going to have a coffee in between the race, but I'm that awake, I don't think I need one. I'm still out of breath after that, and I'm sure you are too after the amount of commentating we've been doing. But wow, what an interesting race. The weather conditions have been a main part of that, as well as the technicality of this kart track. But one thing is changed from a Cadet race. These guys on track now, they know it's been wet. They watched the race earlier, they asked about it in the chats, and they know they've been furiously practicing this last hour to get as much wet driving as they can to give themselves the best opportunity possible.
Exactly that, yeah. Anything that can give you a little bit of advantage going into proper full racing conditions, and any race driver is, of course, going to take that. We saw Benjamin Hamilton in the live chat, like you mentioned, asking about what sort of tyres we're going to be using as James Bout fights the wall there on the exit of the final corner. I mean, if you're going to go in any session, practice is the one to do it in. But Benjamin, of course, one of the top drivers in the championship, second in the standings going into tonight's racing action, only 3 points behind Teddy Cooper. Let's have a little look at those championship standings, and as we head into the second half of the season for our seniors, as drivers still trying to find the edges of grip there, the edges of the tarmac here around PF International. Like I mentioned, Teddy Cooper leading the championship on 144 points. Behind him is Benjamin Hamilton on 141. Then it's Warwick Milam on 132. Oliver White on 117. Then James Bout on 105. And then points falling away there for the drivers in behind. Of course, Zane Quecker there in P10 took the win at round number 2. I don't believe... Oh, no, he is. Sorry, I was about to say I don't believe he's back for tonight. He very much is back tonight. He's currently the fastest out there on circuit at the moment. So very much one to watch. I mean, before round number 1 of this championship, he was the only driver to have ever won a race in the seniors in KartSim Esports. He gave someone else the opportunity for round 1 as he wasn't able to show his face as he was racing somewhere else in real life. Teddy Cooper was the one to steal the win at round number 1. Zane Quecker returned at round 2, got P1. I think he's potentially looking to take it here at round 3. He's probably the favourite going into it, but with these tricky conditions, first time in the wet, I think it's anyone's game.
Well, I mean, it may be Teddy Cooper's championship at the moment, but Zane Quick has really been our favourite. I mean, he's won every race he has competed in this championship. So let's see if Teddy Cooper, Benjamin Hamilton, Warwick Milam can potentially give him a hard time.
Indeed. Well, drivers heading round then for the usual 15 minutes of practice here around PFI, and times continuing to chop and change, just like we saw in the Cadets earlier on. And like we mentioned, 2 race winners so far this season, Teddy Cooper and Zane Quecker. Teddy Cooper has been on the podium at both races, a P1 and a P3. Benjamin Hamilton also on the podium at both races, P3 at round 1 and a P2 at round 2. Harrison Whitcomb on the podium at round 1, finishing second place. I don't think he showed his face, no he didn't at round number 2. So we'll see how that all continues to change the championship here at round 3. Top of the standings though, even closer than we saw in the Cadets. Only 3 points in it. So even though, as an interesting defence there from Zane as he turns across straight into the path of poor Jago Reed Hardy as they head on through these practice laps. Even if we do see Zane Quecker pull away with this one, as we're so used to seeing here in KartSim British Esports, we're really keeping our eyes on Teddy Cooper and Benjamin Hamilton and how close they are in terms of points. Will we see them finish close pecking in this one and see the championship continue on just as closely into the final round of the season at Wilton Mill in about a month or so time? Or will we see a repeat of the Cadets, one driver falling by the wayside, having issues and opening the door for someone else to press on and get a bit of a sizable lead heading into round 4? Well, it's all still, we're still waiting to see what happens. Just less than 9 minutes left in practice here in the seniors, and all very much to play for. I will say at the moment, gap between the field quite a bit larger than we saw in the Cadets.
It is at the moment, but I mean, they're still going to get quicker and quicker and quicker. 106.9, they're doing the same lap times as the cadets were in qualifying. So, I mean, the track's still got a lot of time to find. And again, is anyone racing this championship, especially around here in the wet? I doubt round 4 will be wet as well. I doubt we have 2 wet rounds, but this is really for a spanner in the mix. And I think Blake Southern, P2, he can have a really good race as well. Really put a spanner in the works, like I said.
Yeah, he definitely can. He definitely can. Lots of drivers with the potential of taking this, but like we saw in the cadets, potentially some drivers really finding their feet in the wet conditions and powering through to the 4 when they've been a little bit off of the pace for the rest of the season. Well, in pre-qualifying at least, Teddy Cooper was the fastest to pop in a lap time, and Tancho Banda was the closest to him as well, within about half a tenth of a second. Of course, that was all in dry conditions though. So things potentially chopping and changing as they head into the slightly soggy conditions. At least here in the simulation software, you don't have to contend with having a completely sodden race suit as you head through from different sessions. Drivers remaining a little bit more comfortable. What have you spotted there on the timing?
Just wanted to see Zane Quecker again pulling out his lead. Teddy Cooper in P2 about 3 times. But Blake Southern, there's a big gap between the top 5, a second between them. So I'm not sure if it's gonna spread out like this or it's gonna get a little bit closer. Also, Tancho Banda, we haven't seen him at the top end. He is really getting on with it in the wet. So let's see if he can score some decent points as well.
Indeed, yeah. Tancho joined us for round number 2 last time out at GYG and had a really decent performance. Qualified in 5th place, finished in 5th place. So nice and consistent for Tancho, was battling really well at the sharp end of the order. He's back here for round number 3 and currently in 5th place. He clearly quite likes that position, no matter what the conditions are. Tancho stays there in P5. He'll be hoping to improve though as we head on through. There's Zane Quecker though, dropping down to 2nd place at the moment. Teddy Cooper's found a bit more time there. Quarter of a second now between Teddy and Zane. And Benjamin Hamilton, again, your championship contenders there, right up where we would expect them to be. George Fountain rejoined us as well as Zane goes for a bit of a spin there down into hairpin number 2. As they head on round doing a few more laps then. Zane and Simeon Stone there heading through the S's section. But yes, we talk through this practice session. Of course, got a bit of a shout out as well for the KartSim Esports wheels and pedal kit. Of course, the world's first dedicated wheel and pedal kit specifically set up for karting. I know a lot of drivers out in this senior field do use the esports wheels and pedals kit with a direct drive steering wheel, 5 Newton meters of force feedback in that. That's going to rip your arms off when you set it to the higher settings. So it gives you every bit of detail there of feeling through your hands, along with a load cell brake pedal as well. That can be acutely adjusted to best replicate your specific kart. So no matter where you are in the karting pathway, you can make sure it feels exactly like the real thing. Just like the custom-made pedal grips as well, feeling just like a kart underneath you. And as well as that, the steering wheel does have flappy pedals, mappable buttons and whatnot, so even when you move on through and past karting into car racing, into Formula Series, you can still use the same setup to continue practicing and continue improving your racecraft. So a really good investment throughout your entire racing career. Now everything is fully adjustable, so as you do move up, get older, get bigger, and you need some bigger equipment, it can change for you as well. So the perfect thing to get involved, get interested in, get purchasing over on the KartSim website now. And it's clearly working for a few drivers out there as time's continuing to tumble.
Yeah, again, found another 2 seconds. Warwick Milam, he hasn't been pole of it. Oh, but Zane Quecker and Mark Bailey just snatch it away. Every second I try and talk, another person puts it at the front. So it's making my life and John's life very difficult, but it's what we want to see. Everyone's going for it. Mark Bailey's someone we haven't seen him at pole position yet. And let's see if he can have a really good race.
Yeah, let's see. Like it was in the cadet session, they're very much keeping us on our toes out there, aren't they, Josh? Continuing to take more time off of those fastest laps. We're now down into the 104, so a couple of seconds clear of what we saw in the cadets earlier on. And I'm just taking a glance down at my notes. Now, this is the first time that we've seen Mark Bailey in the KartSim British Esports Championship, so welcome, Mark. And clearly, Mark enjoying this PF International circuit in these damp and tricky conditions. He's put in a great time, quarter of a second off of Zane Quecker at the moment. The time's continuing to tumble, and now we see almost the top 10 separated by about a second. So it's all getting rather close, and really replicating the cadet session that we saw earlier on. And hopefully that will be replicated throughout the sessions, because that race was rather exciting. That should continue here with the seniors as well.
Yeah, and like I mentioned of the cadets as well, look at the dry line forming on track. I mean, everyone was trying everything in the wet, and that's what made it so exciting at the start of that cadet race. But it's now sort of single file at the moment, and I see it's going to make the racing very difficult for people to get past with more pace.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Of course, all these senior drivers, 12 years of age or older. Of course, we only split between the cadets and the seniors. There's no juniors here for the KartSim Esports Championship. So if you're 12 or older, you get chucked straight in with the big boys. And you've got to battle it out. Look at this, though. We've looked away for about 10 or 15 seconds. Zane Quecker's down to 6th place. The time's continuing to tumble. And what a lap that's been put in there by Ethan Windsor. Down into the 103s, nearly down into the 102s. Almost 7/10 quicker than Teddy Cooper at the moment. And now a second. It was separated. The top 10 was separated by a second. Now it's only the top 3 separated by a second as drivers continue to find more time out there. 2.5 minutes left to go on the clock then. Before practice comes to an end, we jump into that all-important qualifying session. Now, it's going to matter less with these drivers in terms of the longer lap and the difficult conditions in terms of getting laps in, because their karts altogether are faster around the circuit, thus meaning they should get 1, maybe 2 more laps in over a 10-minute session. But really the time's not that faster, and that really just shows how difficult it is. Despite having all that extra power in the kart underneath you here, using those senior X30s, it's difficult to get that power down onto the circuit. You find yourself slipping and sliding all over the place. And that's where the drivers, it becomes even more crucial for the cadets to find those perfect lines where you find that ultimate grip.
I mean, the wet doesn't discriminate. If you've got more power, that means you've got more slip and less traction. So more power can make their lives a lot harder out there for these drivers. And obviously they are more experienced, so they should be able to handle it.
Indeed, you'd hope so anyway. We'll see if that does materialise with the drivers heading around on circuit. I mean, we saw how scrappy it was in the opening few moments of the race of the cadets. I think this one could be rather interesting in the seniors, but I'll bite my tongue until we get there. We'll see how the drivers crack on with it. Arthur Murphy leaving the pit there, same with Harrison Bishop as well. Great to see so many drivers involved in this session. A couple more than we saw in the cadets. I think we're at about 21, 22 in this one, so pretty similar to the cadets that we saw earlier on then. 1 minute left to go in practice. And still the drivers we've seen throughout this session is up near the sharp end. It's now Warwick Milam who's stolen that fastest lap. First driver down into the 102s for the moment. And time's continuing to extend the gaps out there. With Ethan Windsor putting in a 101.3. 1.5 seconds quicker than Warwick Milam. Is Ethan Windsor there claiming, staking his claim, I should say, to pole position. Of course, it doesn't matter in this session. Times are going to be reset as soon as we get into qualifying. But I think it's more just a statement of, look, boys, I'm the one to watch in this session. You will give me some good space there out in qualifying. I'm going to press on. Ethan trying to be the one to beat, I think, as we head into the last few moments of this practice session.
You say that, but Mark Bailey just beat that time by 4 times.
Immediately, yeah. Of course, Mark Bailey finds a bit more time, and now it's only 2 seconds between Bailey and Milam. Like you're mentioning, that dry line forming, clearly the driver's finding it, as we're now nearly below a minute for a lap time round here, which is impressively fast in these tricky conditions.
I mean, I look away for a second and the gap is the times have gone down by 4 seconds, so it's really difficult. If these guys make a mistake on their last lap now, they could ruin the race completely, because they don't maybe not have another chance. Warwick Milan just nearly had some traffic from Harrison Bishop, but he's pushing to his max, and if he makes a mistake, that could be his championship over as far as we're concerned.
It could indeed. Drivers got to be very, very careful through this session, particularly the ones fighting for the championship. As you mentioned, it can all go wrong in only a brief moment, as Alex and Zicki found out in the cadets earlier on. Now, checkered flag is out for practice. Drivers will be heading en route to finish their final laps in this one as they continue on through this practice session. Now, I did mention earlier, of course, we have been to this circuit earlier on this season, but it wasn't in the regular season. It was for the O plate right at the start of this year. It was Mr. Zane Quecker, unsurprisingly, who took the win at that O plate, but that was in the dry conditions. Not quite working out as well for him in these slightly trickier, moist conditions. Now, I think he's down somewhere between 14th and 21st, because that's what I can't see on my live timing, and I can't see his name out there for the moment. So as they head on through to end the session, then let's take a look at those final practice results as they appear on screen in only a couple of moments' time. Josh, do you want to take us through those?
Yeah, so Mark Bailey putting a massive impression, a second ahead of Ethan Windsor. And Ethan Windsor, who was 2 seconds quicker than anyone else. But the gap between the top three, 2.3 seconds. Wow. These conditions really catch people out. And Warwick Myland might have just not got that last lap in. Ellis McKenzie P4, George Fountain P5, Benjamin Hamilton P6, Teddy Cooper P7, Oscar Doliniec P8, sorry for pronunciation, my apologies, Simon Stone P9, Tancho Banda P10, and into the P11 we got Chris Whiteside, Jago Reed-Hardy, Blake Southern, Jack Corser, Zane Quecker, a bit of an upset in P15, but it's not qualifying yet. Harrison Bishop, James Vout, Oscar Machovac, Jackery Smith, Kai Abelera, and Arthur Muffet to round up the grid. I think, let's see how this qualifying goes. They're all out in a swarm trying to fight for track position at the moment as we see them coming into that second hairpin. But let's see how this goes, because I don't think Zane Quecker will be 15th after this, do you, John?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think the bookies would take that bet, though. I think that's a rather obvious one, that Zane was not where we expect him to be there in practice. I think maybe he sort of packed it in pretty early on and just decided to wait that one out. We'll see if that continues. On into qualifying then. Like you mentioned, qualifying has begun here in the seniors. And like you also said, similarly to the cadets, they all exited the pit lane at the same time, all trying to fight over the same bit of track position as they begin their first flying laps here in qualifying. Hello to Motorsport UK Esports, saying hello in the live chat. Welcome. Of course, in partnership with Motorsport UK Esports is the KartSim British Esports Championship for 2025. Fantastic to have the governing body in the UK backing the series and really making it a proper professional esports championship for 2025, and with some serious prizes on offer, like I mentioned earlier on. Not for each individual race, though, for the championship overall, and that's why that consistency over the championship is so key. You watch the drivers head on round for their first flying laps of the session. Who's going to be the quickest one out of the blocks? Not too long until we find out.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about track position as well. If you can cross the line with a couple seconds to go and you get that extra lap, that can really help your chances. So I'm sure they're all pedaling off. I don't think there's much rolling out I can see happening, because it's all about getting that last lap. And if you can get that last lap, that makes all the difference at the moment in this changing conditions. Exactly
that. Yeah, like you just mentioned there, if we see a similar weather change as we saw in the qualifying in the cadets, those last couple of laps were absolutely crucial. On the last lap around the circuit, we saw pole position change, was it 3 or 4 times, between which driver was at the sharp end. Those last laps are really going to be crucial. Of course, getting times on the board earlier on, definitely something you're needing to do as the times are beginning to flood in. Teddy Cooper, the fastest man out of the blocks. But we'll see if that continues throughout the session, with those final laps being very, very key. There you go. Zane Quecker puts it within half a tenth already of Teddy Cooper's time. Benjamin Hamilton, though, purple sector 1, purple sector 2. And Benjamin, we mentioned earlier on, the two strats of following other drivers and trying to work out where they're quicker helps build up your knowledge of the circuit as the conditions continue to change. Benjamin Hamilton going it alone out the final corner there. He is so far away from any other drivers, looking to find some time. And my goodness, has he found some time. 1.3 seconds quicker than any driver out on circuit for the moment. It's anyone's game, this one. Plenty of drivers to keep your eyes on throughout the rest of the 6.5 minute session.
Oh, I completely understand Benjamin Hamilton. If the worst feeling you could ever feel as a driver is go onto your fastest lap, or what should be your fastest lap, and you have a slow marker in front of you, or you have some traffic, and it's like, oh well, that's a weekend over. So it's smart what Benjamin is doing, keeping his head clean. He knows he's got the pace. He knows he can just focus and pound the laps in. So let's see what the results can be. George Fountain in P2, Warwick Milo in P3, Teddy Cooper in P4, and Zane Quecker in P6. Oh no, Zane Quecker in P1. He just put Benjamin Hamilton. It seems like every time me and John speak, someone else takes pole.
That's always the case. It's always the case with commentary. You say something with chest, and then someone does the complete opposite, and you look like a right mug. But anyway, Zane Quecker finding some good time out there. Only 100th, though, was he quicker than Benjamin Hamilton's time on that last lap around the circuit. So still plenty of opportunities for things to change. Great to see so many people in the live chat as well. AR15 supporting Warwick Milam as we jump on board here with Zane Quecker.
And Benjamin Hamilton just popped another lap, 8 tenths quicker.
Wow. Impressive.
So, like I said, every time we speak about Zayn or anyone else, someone beats him, and Benjamin Hamilton properly showing people who's boss around this track. Zayn quicker again, up, purple, but only by a tenth. Not enough, I think, to beat Benjamin Hamilton's next lap.
You know, gap super close, right at the sharp end of the order. Warwick Myler within 7,000ths now of that fastest time. It looks like Zayn Quecker's going to take P1, and he does. First driver down to the 105s. I think that track is improving a little bit faster than it was in the practice sessions, already down into the 105s, because we saw them down into the 1 minute deads at the end of that practice session. Let's see if that happens here in qualifying. Like I was saying though, good to see AR15 supporting Warwick Myler in the chat. Joe Neal saying, come on Teddy, George and Warwick, and FB Mary Joyce. Zayn Quecker fan club watching in force in Widnes and Manchester, and even in commentary, loving the series. At least it's cheap and safe if they crash. That's very true. So great footage. Come on Zany baby. Well, huge support out for Zayn, currently topping the timing sheets. We'll see if that continues to the end of this one. Plenty of names jumping up and down the order throughout this one. Just over 4 minutes left to go.
Like you said, the track's over 5 seconds off what it was before. But let's not forget, this is a 10-minute qualifying versus a 15-minute practice. So again, the conditions are very dissimilar to what we had earlier. It's making it very hard for these drivers, and I mean, it's anyone's game. Teddy Cooper just put it on in P1 from Zayn Quecker, Benjamin Hamilton, Warwick Myler, Pancho Banda, George Fountain, Blake Southern, Simeon Stone, Jack Corsa, and Kai Abelero running out the top 10. But again, like I say, that's going to change in the next 2 seconds anyways, so...
It might just do that. Yeah, Teddy Cooper's stolen it for now. I was a bit confused there, because Zayn Quecker went into the pits. He took himself back into the pits, potentially had some damage or something on the kart that meant he wanted to come back in. But in my eyes, all that means is he's now got another outlap to do. He's going to lose even more time and have less opportunity to put time on the board. I mean, if he was half a second clear at the front of the order, you could maybe understand that. But he's only in third place at the moment. Tancho Banda has just stuck in a 105.5. He takes pole position for the moment. For Zayn, there's lots of bit of time there. He's only going to have a couple more opportunities to put times in. Could that be the undoing of Zayn Quecker here for pole position?
Well, I'm not sure, John. I think 3 minutes left, that's 3 laps. I think Zayn Quecker is good enough to go out of those pits and, as we've seen, do that lap. Teddy Cooper P1, I thought George Fountain did it, but no. Ellis McKenzie P3 now, and the difference between second and fourth is only 200. So, like we said, it's not too far away from what we saw in the Cadets. The grid is starting to close down a lot. And maybe Zayn Quecker wanted a fresh set of tyres.
Maybe
being much smarter than we could ever be.
Yeah, playing the tactical game as always is Zayn Quecker. Within about 10 seconds there, we saw Tancho Banda take pole, Ellis McKenzie take pole, George Fountain take pole, and then Teddy Cooper said, guys, come on, chill out. I'm having that pole position back. By nearly 0.7 of a second. Come across the line again, Tancho Banda closes that gap to 300ths there as he finds a way past Jack Corsa on the circuit. Just over 2 minutes left to go then, as Warwick Myler is now back in the pits. Now, if he wants to get another lap in, he's going to have to get out of the pits pretty soon here, as he does now. He should just about be able to get round and put another lap in. As you are pointing furiously at Josh, purple sector 1 and purple sector 2 for Zayn Quecker.
I think he's completely made your words here.
Yeah. I'm used to it with Zayn. I'm used to it now.
Zayn's such a great driver. Go out first lap and just go purple. Let's see what this lap ends up actually being. 103.6. A second quicker than Teddy Cooper. He has put everyone else in that grid on his place. And as far as I'm concerned, Zayn Quecker is the fastest person out there on track.
Wow. Yeah, impressive stuff. Clearly the support in the live chat powering Zayn on, which is great to see, all of the support in the live chat. Thank you all for joining us once again this evening. Of course, we've still got one more round to go after this one, the finale in about a month's time at Wilton Mill. Make sure you subscribe to the KartSim YouTube channel to not miss out on that and any future championships that will be covered here on the KartSim YouTube channel. There you go, confirmed. 3rd of September is the date to pop in your diary for the championship finale. We watched Simeon Stone head round the final part of the lap in P5. Great to see Simeon out on the virtual black stuff and doing a good job at the moment there in P5. But we're into the final minute of this qualifying session. George Fountain's closed that gap to half a second. Can anyone steal this pole away from Zayn Quecker?
I mean, Simeon Stone just put in another good lap, putting in P3. I don't think we've seen Simeon Stone, unless I'm mistaken, in his championship before. So what an impression he has been making.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First time we've seen Simeon Stone here in the KartSim British Esports Championship. And like you say, staking his claim well up on the second row of the grid for the moment. Tancho Banda, we've seen him on pole earlier on in this session. Well, he found almost a tenth and a half purple sector number 1. He's found more time in sector 2, but not the fastest. What's Tancho going to put in? It's second place for Tancho Banda. Crucially, though, he's crossed the line with about 5 seconds left to go. He will get another lap in. Checkered flag comes out then. These are the crucial moments as we set the grid in the seniors.
You say that, but I think Tancho Banda is probably my favourite to put at pole in this qualifying if I had to take a guess. Benjamin Hamilton just put it at P1. Tancho Banda having that next lap, but Benjamin Hamilton securing his place. I'd say at least in that top 3.
Indeed, there you go. Tancho Banda goes to third, but Teddy Cooper steals pole. He steals pole position on his final lap around the circuit. Simeon Stone stays there in 5th place. We wait and watch, though, for Zane Quecker. Is Zane Quecker getting another lap in or not? Or is he done and dusted? It looks like he's done and dusted. Teddy Cooper has taken pole position here in the seniors. And what an impressive performance there, as we, I think, both thought, with Zane coming out of the pits there, he won't be able to find any more time. He did. He got so far ahead of the rest of the field, we thought no one can catch him. Well, they definitely have. The 2 championship rivals currently sat on the front row. Stolen by Tancho Banda, though. Not quite the pole position that we may have thought from Josh, but close enough. Warwick Milam stolen it on the last lap. Unbelievable final lap from Warwick Milam. Where did that one come from? We thought that the front row was done and dusted for shuffling there. Teddy Cooper drops down to 2nd. Benjamin Hamilton, his championship rival, drops down to 4th. And a lovely celebratory flip there from Warwick Milam.
Yeah, as he completes some gymnastics. I haven't even seen Warwick Milam more this qualifying session, but he always finds a way to surprise us. Tancho Banda really could have put it on pole, but he had some traffic from Kaya Valera, I believe, through that last sector, so he must be gutted. But again, that's just qualifying. Now we have a race. It could be anyone's race right now, and the top 10 can all have a go. I mean, we've seen all of them at pole position at one point. So Zane Quecker, P5. I'm sure he's trying to go for another win now.
Indeed, he definitely will be. There's plenty of names on that grid that we'll be watching out for. There you go then. Warwick Milam takes his first ever pole position in the KartSim British Esports Championship. Teddy Cooper lines up alongside him with Tancho Banda and Benjamin Hamilton on row 2. Benjamin Hamilton and Teddy Cooper, championship rivals, nose to tail on this race start. They'll be followed by Zane Quecker and Simeon Stone, Ellis McKenzie and George Fountain, then Blake Southern and Chris Whiteside. They round out the top 10 on the grid for this one. Row 6 will see Jack Corser and Mark Bailey, then Oscar Dolaniec, followed by Ethan Windsor, Jago Reed-Hardy, Zachary Smith, Kaya Valera, James Bow, Oscar Makovic, then Harrison Bishop, your top 20. And then finalising the grid is Arthur Murfitt, 21st on the grid. There we go then. Another exciting qualifying. I had definitely thought that there would be some more standout performances in this one and drivers really eking out the gaps. But that was so close. We've seen an exciting race in the cadets. I think we've got an exciting one to come here in the seniors.
I mean, no offense, John, but I don't think we're ever going to learn. It was the same in cadets. We said the same thing before the cadets, and the senior just surprised us just as much. Teddy Cooper, this is a season standings. He is gunning for that win. The prizes he can get are absolutely phenomenal. John, if you want to run us through what we get.
Indeed, of course. I think we should just about have some time here. The drivers are getting ready to go. Of course, your winner in the championship getting themselves a full day of coaching out in real-life karting, and of course some professional coaching here at KartSim HQ as well, and prizes for 2nd and 3rd as well. So even if you can't quite win the championship, there's still plenty of things on offer if you're in the top 3. Interestingly enough, though, Warwick Milam, his first ever pole position, he's remained consistent throughout this season so far. He's 3rd place in the championship, only a few points behind our top 2 of Teddy Cooper and Benjamin Hamilton. So if things all go awry here on the opening laps of this one, and Teddy Cooper and Benjamin Hamilton have some difficult races, Warwick Milam could scythe through into the championship lead, heading into the finale at Wilton Mill. It's very much all to play for. This has been even more exciting than I expected here in the damp and tricky conditions at the Paul Fletcher International Circuit in Grantham in the UK. We've got 12 laps on the board, ladies and gentlemen. This first lap, I feel, is going to be absolutely crucial. We saw some great battling at the start of the race in the cadets, drivers chopping and changing throughout the order. The eventual winner, we saw him drop down to 4th or 5th on the first lap of the race. I can hear the lights are going on. We're about to get underway and racing here in the seniors. Lights go out, and we're off and racing here at PFI. Good start from the drivers on the front row of the grid. They side their way down through the first couple of tricky corners as Warwick Milam nearly loses the kart there on that big puddle. Off exit stage left goes Tancho Banda. Already he's off onto the grass, and he's going to be dropping down the order. Who was that getting a wallop there off onto the grass? It was Zane Quecker who gave the wallop. I'm not sure who it was diving to the grass on the outside, but either way, they're all over the bridge, down into hairpin number 1, the biggest heavy braking zone on the circuit. George Fountain just about holds the slide. Simeon Stone less lucky there as he finds himself on the grass on the inside of the circuit. Zane Quecker really finding the edges of grip there as he tries to stay on the back of Warwick Milo, and Teddy Cooper ahead. Comparatively to the Cadets, it's been a more chill start, at least at the front end of the order. I'm not sure that'll continue throughout the race though, Josh.
No, I mean, Zane Quecker is a charging bull. He wants to get past Warwick Milam as quick as he can, and he's trying to do it at every corner possible, but he has to be smart here. The last thing Zane Quecker wants to do is let Teddy Cooper get away, because if Teddy Cooper gets away, he is well enough and good enough to drive away on his own and keep that no mistakes, and I don't think Zane Quecker will be able to catch him. So Zane Quecker really needs to dispatch Warwick Milam as quick as he can and move and try and catch Teddy Cooper. Teddy Cooper, great start for him. Pip Warwick Milam off the start, and hopefully he can keep the momentum going as he goes just under a second in front.
Indeed, we had a couple of drivers, quite a number of drivers, having a bit of a challenging first lap around this circuit. I mean, one of the crucial ones being Benjamin Hamilton, down to 10th place. One of the drivers batting for the championship, second in the standings as they came into today's racing action. Down at the bottom end of the top 10, nearly 10 seconds off of the leaders already. And I think, like we saw with Alex Zicki and the Cadets, it's just going to be trying to gain back as many positions and as many points as Benjamin can in this one. And he'll be hoping anyway, that something happens to Teddy Cooper out front. If Teddy Cooper can hold down this race win, get maximum points here, it's going to be a challenging one for Benjamin Hamilton. It's going to be even more challenging if he makes contact with drivers like that. Zachary Smith off onto the grass, and I can only imagine the stewards will be looking at that one. Big hop and skip over the curb there for Blake Southern. He just about held onto it as he flew through the air. Ethan Wins has gone wide there onto the grass. Up and under goes Benjamin Hamilton, but again making a bit more contact, this time with Kai Abalera as they go all the way to the wall on the outside there, heading on to lap number 4.
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin Hamilton, impressive couple moves from 10th to 7th in a couple corners, but he has to be careful. I mean, if he keeps making that contact, the stewards will have no choice but to give him a penalty. So that's the last thing we want to see. We want him to get through cleanly. But other big upset of this race is Tancho Banda. He's climbed his way back up to 11th place, but that has really ruined his race after getting speed off at the first corner.
Yeah, that was gutting for Tancho. He really showed his pace in qualifying earlier on, but just getting unlucky on that start of the race. As we say, getting shuffled wide, losing a lot of positions. He's done well so far to battle his way back through, almost into the top 10. But these two line astern in their battle for 4th. Mackenzie looking down the inside, not quite able to get it done this time.
We've missed it, but Zane Quecker slid his way into P2. He's pulled a gap of 1.3 seconds of Warwick Milam, and he's within a second. I mean, if these guys had DRS, he'd be within DRS range of Teddy Cooper, but luckily they don't. So Teddy Cooper has to really get his act together, because Zane Quecker, he is coming, and he wants to win this race.
Well, obviously in real life, drivers can activate the human DRS by just dropping their head down behind the steering wheel and trying to find a bit more aerodynamic efficiency. Sadly, we haven't quite mapped that into KartSim just yet, but maybe something to come in future. Keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, Zane Quecker, like you mentioned, up to P2. He's made the move on Warwick Milam. Now, we didn't see it on the live stream. We don't know how clean it was from Zane Quecker, but either way, he's through into P2. That gap remaining relatively stagnant, though, between Teddy and Zane at just over 1 second, but plenty more laps left to go in this one, as Zane really flirting with the edges of the circuit there as he gets it all crossed up through the S's, through sector number 2. They head now into the final sector of the circuit. We'll be heading through onto lap number 5 in a few moments' time. Now, this is where the pressure is really going to be mounting for Teddy Cooper. He's raced Zane and Warwick a lot of times here in the KartSim British Esports Championship already. He knows how fast, he knows how feisty they both are, and they'll both be wanting to take the win in this one. But Warwick, there and thereabouts in the championship fight. Zane, of course, has missed around. He's not in it. So really, Zane is going to be a difficult party in this one. He's got nothing to lose. He's not thinking about the championship. He just wants this race win out and out, done and dusted for Zane. Warwick and Teddy maybe have to be a little bit more pragmatic and think about the moves a little bit more than Zane would. Either way, Zane getting that rear end of the car properly slidey, finding all the pace he can. But even with him doing that, that gap has remained pretty much the same.
I mean, this is a game of mistakes now. Whoever can make the least mistakes is going to win this race. I mean, Zane Quicker's got Warwick Milam right on his arse again after his slide in the first hairpin. Zane really needs to get his head down. Don't think about Warwick. Try and work together to get towards the front, because Warwick is also part of the championship. Warwick wants to hunt Teddy Cooper, and Teddy Cooper just wants Zane to make as many mistakes as possible. So, let's see. Zane Quicker, Warwick Milam. There's only a couple tenths between them. Let's see if Warwick decides to try and overtake, get past and chase after Teddy Cooper, or try and work together with Zane Quicker. That's going to be a massive decision he has to make.
Indeed, indeed. Well, it might be made if he continues to watch the gap between the leaders. It looks like it's very slowly but surely starting to extend for Teddy Cooper. He's putting some great pace down out there. We have a brief little look at the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. George Fountain and Alex McKenzie still nose to tail. You just saw them coming off the bridge in the background of the shot there. They're battling over P4. Simeon Stone in a bit of no man's land in 6th place. He's got 4 seconds ahead to Ellis McKenzie, who we take a look at there. But then he's got another 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds back to Benjamin Hamilton. Hamilton still continuing the charge. He has lost a bit of time to the leaders, but overall I think he is catching Simeon Stone for 6th place, and that's his only thought for the rest of this race. Just chase down whoever he can, gain as many more positions as he can, gain as many more championship points back. Tancho Bander's back up to 8th place in behind him, and again he's in a bit of no man's land. 4 seconds to Benjamin ahead, 2 to James Bout behind, a further 2 back to Jack Corser. He rounds out the top 10 then, as we keep our eyes locked on to this exciting battle. Now, of course, it was all a bit scrappy in the cadets throughout. We've seen throughout the season, though, that the seniors, as would be expected, they're all older drivers, getting more into a rhythm of things and really having to pick their moments rather than it all just becoming a bit chaotic. Again, that playing out even in these wet conditions, I thought it could get a bit more scrappy, but drivers really showing their talent out there and showing how consistent they can be and consistently putting in some great pace. Little mistake there from Warwick, though, down at the first hairpin. He's lost a bit of time there, a bit slidey, went a bit wide, and that's given ever so slightly more breathing room to Zane Quicker.
But I mean, you're completely right, John. Zane Quicker and Warwick Milam trying to work together, I think, here. And Zane Quicker obviously got past cleanly without taking Warwick Milam out. So the level of maturity to keep Warwick behind you, get past cleanly, and try and focus on chasing down Teddy Cooper for the win is really exceptional in these races. And I wanted to shout out Tancho Bander again. Again, P8, he was in the wall in T1. It was the race over, but he's really fought back. He's carrying really good pace, and hopefully maybe he can even get to Benjamin Hamilton.
Yeah, that just shows never give up in the KartSim British Esports Championship. There's still all to play for. Even if it all goes wrong at the first corner, Tancho is the martyr of that one, showing how you can still press on through the order and gain some points back to your championship charge. Look at this, though. We saw on the last lap, Warwick lost a bit of time to Zane. Well, he's immediately caught it back up. He's straight back on the rear end of Zane's car, and Zane this time, the one a little bit wide off hairpin number 1. Doesn't quite open up the opportunity this time. That any sort of mistake like that, Warwick's right there to pick up the pieces. He looks for the inside, heading into the S's section, looking to fake out there Zane Quicker. He's going to get a great up and under exit, but can't get the power down. Just about collects the rear end of Zane Quicker's kart there. Loses the rear end as he tries to apply the power. He did well to keep that one in a straight line. He's trying to force his way through on the outside. Zane gets his elbows out now and keeps Warwick behind for now. Anyway, crucially though, look at the gap to Teddy Cooper. It's nearly 2.5 seconds between Cooper and Quicker as we head through onto lap number 9.
Like I said, as soon as they start fighting, Teddy Cooper just gets away. Warwick Milam really putting the pressure on Zane Quicker, and Zane Quicker really handling it at the moment. Let's see if Warwick can, 3 laps to go. Let's see what he can do. He wants that second place, even if he can't get that first. And I don't think that first is possible anymore. I think this race is Teddy Cooper's, and I think the championship is as well at this rate.
Indeed, yeah, if it stays like this, Teddy will be leading the championship going into the final round and is going to have put even more points between himself and second and third, which at this rate I think will still be Benjamin Hamilton in second and Warwick Mineham in third, but only by a point or two. It's going to mean Teddy's a little bit more comfortable going into Wilton Mill, but I don't think anyone has said that they've been comfortable going towards Wilton Mill. It always throws up some crazy racing, does Wilton Mill, so make sure you join us for that in about a month or so time. Big slide yet again through the right-hander there for Zane Quecker as they come to the end of this lap around the circuit. Warwick Mineham continuing to pile the pressure on to Zane Quecker, but not able to find a way through. You saw George Fountain there heading out the final corner. He's still 6 seconds off the leader, but he's put a nice gap now between himself and Ellis McKenzie. McKenzie not able to hold his pace. About 3 seconds now separating those two in fourth and fifth. I will just quickly say, those standings on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, not the live standings at the moment. Those are the standings going into this race, but they will change by the end of it. Tries the inside line, does Warwick Mineham. Too late on the break. Zane Quecker covers that one off. And Warwick is going to drop now about a second off of the back of Zane Quecker. And all that effort to keep himself close enough to make the move. He tries to go for it. Doesn't quite work out at hairpin one. He's going to have to do it all again.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Warwick was thinking there. Outside that hairpin one is never really going to work, especially in the wet, but hopefully he can keep calm and collected, try and catch up. Maybe Zane makes a mistake and let's see what can happen. But top 12 really starting to spread out as we expect in the wet, but there's a nice little battle for 13th place. As you can see, Jago Reed Hardy up the inside of Chris Whiteside. Oh, does he overbrake? No, he keeps it collected. What a drift.
Absolutely lovely drift there from Jago Reed Hardy. Fast and furious, ate your heart out. Jago's through into 13th place, and now it's Ethan Windsor trying to find a way through on Chris Whiteside. Great to see Chris back once again for yet another round, as there's a bit of front to rear contact there between 14th and 15th. Be a better exit for Ethan Windsor. He looks to the inside line, can't quite get the overspeed. We'll have to rethink that one. Leaders have now gone on to the penultimate lap of this race, so time quickly ticking down here as this battle for 12 continues to rage on. Great to see as well, no matter where you are in the field, as that's a big off for Ethan Windsor into the wall at the final corner. I think tried to go side by side there with Chris Whiteside. Being the driver on the outside, he was the one chucked straight towards the scene of the accident. Less than ideal, but I think he's got it back on the black stuff. As I was saying though, it's great to see battles throughout the order. No matter where you are in terms of your pace, you join the KartSim British Esports Championship, you're going to have a lot of fun out there.
I mean, you can really see Warwick Mineham has that real pace. He's really caught back up to Zane Quecker for this last lap, and Teddy Cooper just crossed his line going into this last lap. This is going to be one of the most interesting last laps I think I've ever seen on KartSim Esports.
Indeed, let's go then. Final lap, last 1,382 metres left to go in this race. We've seen Warwick Mineham try and steal away second place earlier on in this one. Like you say, fantastic pace for Warwick to re-catch the rear axle of Zane Quecker, but is he close enough to think about a move? I think we can guarantee now, without any down the inside for Warwick Mineham. That was a little bit too late, I think, there for Warwick. Door was closed by Zane Quecker, and Zane goes for the same exact move, down the inside, up and under goes Warwick Mineham. This is looking a bit feisty here around the final lap. Is Zane a bit too far back now to try and get involved? They head through the S's. Zane's going to do everything he can to close him back down, as you see him there launching himself over the inside apex curb. But we look forward to Teddy Cooper. What a race from Teddy Cooper. He comes round the final corner and he'll lead the championship into the final round at Wilton Mill. Teddy Cooper makes it 2 from 2 in KartSim British Esports. What a race win. Warwick Mineham was off in the wall there at the final corner. He just holds on to third place there, but Zane Quecker steals second place at the line. Now, we didn't see how that happened. Either way, Warwick ended up in the wall there on the outside, drops to third. Still some good points, but points lost versus the championship leader of Teddy Cooper. What a race it was from Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy Cooper, whoa, James, wow, that is not acceptable. I mean, he's got the place back and he's crashed, which is a bit of karma there, but oh, come on, guys. Teddy Cooper crosses the line in style, he takes the win. Zane Quecker and Warwick Mineham, that move from Warwick Mineham was very late, as everyone forgets how to drive going into the last corner. I think they've forgotten that we got a corner left onto the track, but we'll look at the final results in a second. Zane Quecker, P2, I think that's very deserved. Warwick Mineham's moved into the first step and way too late, in my opinion, but the natural orders revolve the positions back into P3. Teddy Cooper taking the win. He's leading the championship, and he'll definitely be leading the championship after this. Zane Quecker P2, that'll help his championship. I'm sure he's 10th for the 4. I'm sure he'll be into that top 6, I reckon. Warwick Mallam in P3, good race for him, except for the last corner. George Fountain in P4, Ellis McKenzie, Simeon Stone, Benjamin Hamilton, nice recovery. Tancho Banda, also the same. Jack Corsa, Blake Southern rounds up the top 10. Well, folks, I think that's it for us today. My name's Josh Fan. That's been John next to me. Thank you very much. John, you got anything else to say?
Wow, what an evening of racing that was, ladies and gentlemen. You've been treated here on the KartSim YouTube channel, and we head in only about a month's time to the final round of the season. We'll head on through to Wilton Mill on the 3rd of September. Pop that in your diary, and if you've enjoyed this live stream, you have the KartSim Pro simulation software. Get involved for round number 4. There's only one more round left in 2025. But there might be more esports yet to come later in the year. Watch out for updates on the KartSim socials. But like we said, my name's been John Ratcliffe. He's been Josh Erfan. Thank you so much for joining us here for a brilliant evening of racing in both the cadets and the seniors. We'll see you all very, very soon when we finalise the championship at Wilton Mill. Have a lovely rest of the evening.